Hello and welcome to this demo of how to review a dataset on PREreview.org. My name is Chad Sansing. I'm the head of product at PREreview. Use he, him pronouns, and super excited to share with you this journey on reviewing datasets on our site. You may notice at the top, we are again on sandbox.prereview.org. This is our testing environment. It's open to the public. It's a great place to come and try things out and to play around with the site before perhaps publishing your first pre-review on prereview.org, our production site. Anything that we review and publish here is going to seem exactly the way it does on prereview.org, except it doesn't actually get published. It doesn't actually get a DOI. It doesn't actually go to Zenodo or any of those things that normally happen when we publish reviews on prereview.org. So it's a safe place to try things out without worrying about messing things up, breaking anything. Great place to kind of learn how the site works, to learn how the review workflows work, and to maybe share with others who are maybe newer to open peer review how everything comes together. We're going to go down to review a dataset today and do a brief demo of that workflow. You can check back for improvements in the near future. This is one of our newer modular review workflows, and we're always trying to make it better based on feedback that we get from community members like you. So I'm going to click on Review a Dataset, and the first thing I'll be asked is the same thing I'm asked when I'm ready to review a preprint, and that's to provide a DOI or a URL. There's some helper text there if you're not yet familiar with DOIs or digital object identifiers, but essentially this is part of the metadata for a preprint or dataset or another deposited early research output or another piece of the scholarly publishing continuum. And here we've got a DOI from Cielo Data. And when we put it in there and hit continue, it's going to give us a little bit of an abstract about that data set, just so we can confirm that we are reviewing the right one, and then we'll hit Start Now. Now, in our preprint review workflow, you have some options about how you might like to begin. You can copy and paste a review you've written elsewhere. You can start with a very lightweight template, or you can start with prompts and what we call a structured review. Here for the dataset review, all of these reviews at the moment are more structured reviews, and we've developed these prompts in cooperation, close cooperation, with community members from places like the Data Rescue Project, Force 11, our own reviewer community here at prereview.org, just folks who've been, invested and active in data sets, their review, their use, the research, for a long, long while, and we're extremely grateful for their help in developing these questions, and we're excited to share them with you now. So we'll go ahead and hit start. So you can see here's how the prompts are set up. You have a prompt at the top or a question. You have a number of responses you can select from. And then once you select from them, so this one is how would you rate the quality of this data set? I'm going to say it's excellent because this is just a test. Once you make a selection, a text box will open up. And this is your chance to give that helpful, substantive, kind, and constructive feedback to the author so that they can improve their work, they can improve that data set, or perhaps how they plan to use it within a preprint or another kind of publication further down the line. I'll hit save and continue here. The next prompt will ask me if this data set follows fair and care principles. I'll say sure. Again, I'll use test here since we're on sandbox.prereview.org. Is there enough metadata here? And you can see in each case, there's a little bit of like helper text below, a little bit of an explanation that community members thought it was important to include to contextualize each response. So I'll hit yes again. We'll go to the next prompt. Does it include a way to list or track changes or versions? Does that versioning system seem accurate? Helps make sure that the data hasn't been interfered with in any way, perhaps. Does the dataset show signs of alteration beyond instances of human error? So looking for things like, are there markers here of censorship, deletion, redaction, things that we can't account for otherwise? I'm going to say no, this time around, it's pretty clean. Is the dataset well suited to support its stated research purpose? We'll say yes. Does it support the researcher's stated conclusions? We'll affirm yes again. Is this dataset granular enough to be a reliable standard of measurement? We'll say yes there. Is it relatively error-free? We've indicated yes so far. We'll continue with that. Is the dataset likely to be of interest to researchers in the corresponding field of study, or maybe to most researchers, or maybe even to the general public? Another way to think about it might be how consequential is it to seem, is it likely to seem to those audiences? We'll say very consequential. Is the dataset ready to be shared? More broadly, we'll say yeah. There's a box here for anything else you'd like to share about the dataset as well. You might have some feedback about labels. You might have some suggestions about how to visualize or represent it in future publications. You can put any and all of that right here. You can choose your name again on pre-review. You can always use your public persona or you can use your pseudonym. My pseudonym is shared here. You should never share your pseudonym. I use mine for demoing all the time. It's no big deal. But the pseudonym is there. It's meant to help you out if you're a little nervous, maybe about sharing some feedback. Maybe your feedback is the kindest and most constructive feedback in the world, but you're still worried an author is going to take it the wrong way, or maybe, attack you or retaliate in some way for what you've shared. And so if you'd appreciate that security of having that pseudonym, you can always use it. Now, the pseudonym, of course, is not a license to behave badly. We have a database of these things locked up way, 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 way back in our tech. We never look at it unless there's some kind of code of conduct violation where someone's used a pseudonym to attack someone else. None of that is okay. But if you have kind, constructive, substantive feedback to give, you're just worried about its reception, you can always use your pseudonym. I'll use my public ID here. There's a little helper text about that too, in case you forget. I'm going to say I do not have competing interests. If I was curious about what that meant, again, there's helper text providing some examples of what those might be. I'm going to affirm that I have abided by our code of conduct at pre-review. If I'm not, maybe I don't have the time to click on the link and read the whole thing, I can get helper text here as well of examples of expected behaviors and unacceptable behaviors. I can affirm that I'm following it. I can hit save and continue. Then I'll have the option to check all of my work. At the top, I can make sure I'm reviewing the right data set. I can make sure my details are correct. I can make sure I like all of my responses. And if I want to edit the text, if I want to change test, for example, to something actually helpful, I could go back, I could type in a whole new response. I can do all of that before I publish again. We're just about to add a multiple authors modal or window to this workflow as well. So if you've done collaborative review with others, there'll be a way to automatically invite them to share with the platform how they'd like to be credited, either using their public personas or their pseudonyms, so you never have to ask them for their pseudonyms, so we never have to ask them for their pseudonyms. That'll be coming very shortly and will appear just like it does in our preprint review workflow. But I'm going to go ahead and say that all of this seems exactly as I would like it to be. I'm going to publish the pre-review, although not really, here on sandbox.prereview.org. And in the background, pre-review, and if I was on prereview.org, the production site, pre-review and Zenodo would be shaking hands and making this happen. Here, there'll be a slight delay, and then we'll get our success page indicating that had this been a real review, it would have published successfully. There we go. We get notice that the review is being published, and we'll continue to the success page. If this had been a real review, Zenodo would have minted a DOI for it. We'll get some information about what happens next. Here, until we add that multiple authors modal, is our email address, help@prereview.org. You can let us know to reach out to folks there. We'll send them the same kind of automated email we would send them from that window in the workflow itself, so that when they pick public persona or they pick pseudonym, we don't know. It's just a choice that's automatically made and represented in the credit line of the review. There's some encouragement to share your review. We'll be adding to that section very shortly as well. And of course, if you have feedback about how the dataset review workflow went for you, you can either schedule a user research interview with me, or you can complete a brief anonymous survey and then see your review. And there it is, as it would appear on PREreview.org itself. Well, thanks for joining me for that demo of the dataset review workflow on PREreview. This is the third in a quick series of demos sharing how to navigate the site, how to review preprints or request reviews of preprints, and how to review a dataset. As always, if you have questions or we can be of further help, please let us know at help@prereview.org. Bye for now.